My name is Ava Reynolds. The funeral was 3 days ago, but it felt like 3 years had passed since I stood at that gravesite and watched them lower my husband into the frozen ground. Ethan Reynolds, 38 years old, killed in a car accident on Miller's Curve. That is what the police report said. Sharp curve, wet road, no signs of foul play, case closed, a tragedy, nothing more. I was 36 years old and suddenly a widow. The word tasted like ash in my mouth every time I tried to say it. Widow. Such a small word for such an enormous emptiness. The service was held at Ashford Community Church on a grey October morning. The sky hung low and heavy, threatening rain that never came. Leaves fell from the maples lining the cemetery path, drifting down like grief made visible. I stood at the gravesite surrounded by people I barely recognized, listening to a pastor I had never met read words about eternal rest and God's mysterious plan. I wanted to scream at him that there was nothing mysterious about a man dying at 38. There was only cruelty and randomness and the terrible silence of a house that would never hear his voice again. But something else nagged at me that day. Something I could not name. My sister Sophie and her fiancé Noah arrived 15 minutes after the service started. I saw them hurrying across the cemetery parking lot, Sophie's heels sinking into the soft earth. Noah gripping her elbow like he was holding her upright. They slipped into the back row just as I began my eulogy. I looked out at the gathered mourners and caught Sophie's eye. She looked away immediately, dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue. Noah stood rigid beside her, his jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle working even from 20 feet away. He did not cry, did not even seem to be listening, just stared at the casket with an expression I could not quite rate. During the reception afterward, they left within 40 minutes. Noah practically dragged Sophie toward the door, muttering something about her needing to rest. I wanted to call out to ask them to stay, to beg my sister to sit with me and hold my hand the way she used to when we were children, but they were gone before I could finish my second cup of coffee. And just before they walked out, I saw Noah lean close to Sophie and whisper something. Whatever he said made her face go pale as milk. I dismissed it at the time. Grief makes people act strange. I told myself that over and over during the 3 days that followed. Grief makes people act strange. But now, sitting alone in my silent house with James Harlan's words echoing in my skull, those moments replayed like a warning I should have heeded. The house felt wrong without Ethan. Our home of 8 years had become a museum of absence. His coffee mug still sat in the sink where he had left it the morning of the accident. His reading glasses waited on the nightstand, patient as ever. His winter coat hung by the front door, still carrying the faint scent of his cologne. Cedar and sandalwood. Every time I walked past it, my chest seized up like a fist had closed around my heart. I had not been able to enter his home office yet, the room where he spent so many late nights working on accounts, staring at his computer screen with that little furrow between his eyebrows that I always found endearing. Our marriage was not perfect. No marriage is, but it was good. I thought it was good. Yet, in those final weeks, Ethan had been distracted, working late more often than usual, taking phone calls in the other room and speaking in low tones I could not quite hear. I assumed he was stressed from a difficult client. I never thought to ask deeper questions. 3 days ago, while sorting through his personal effects returned from the accident scene, I found something in his wallet that gave me pause. A business card slightly crumpled wedged behind his driver's license. James Harlan, Property Management, Harlan Building with a downtown Ashford address. I did not recognize. Ethan had never mentioned renting another property. We shared everything, or so I believed. Why would he have a landlord I had never heard of? I meant to ask someone about it. But grief swallowed me whole, And the card sat on my kitchen counter like an unanswered question until this morning when that same James Harlan called me with a voice full of fear. Let me tell you about that phone call because the details matter. The phone rang at 9:17 in the morning. I almost let it go to voicemail. I was not ready to hear another neighbor tell me how sorry they were, how Ethan was in a better place now, as if anyone knew where that better place was supposed to be. But old habits die hard. So I picked up. "Mrs. Reynolds," the voice said. It was familiar but formal. "My name is James Harlan. I'm the landlord of a property your husband was renting. I'm sorry to bother you during such a difficult time." I almost hung up. Another sympathy call, I thought. Another stranger offering condolences that would change nothing. But then James said something that made me grip the phone until my knuckles turned white. "Your husband left something with me," he said. "Something he told me you needed to see if anything ever happened to him." My blood ran cold. If anything happened to him. What do you mean by that? I cannot explain over the phone, Mrs. Reynolds. Someone might be listening. His voice dropped to a whisper, and I could hear real fear in it. "I need you to understand something. What I am about to show you, your life might depend on it." "You are scaring me," I said. "What is this about?" "Come to my office, the Harlan Building, 2nd floor. And Mrs. Reynolds." He paused and I heard him take a shaky breath. "Do not tell your sister. Do not tell her fiancé Noah. Do not tell anyone. Just come now." The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to break free. This could be a scam. Some elaborate con targeting a grieving widow. At 36, I was young enough to be a target, but old enough to know better. If someone wanted to hurt me, now would be the time when I was alone and broken and barely holding myself together. But James had mentioned Ethan by name, had said Ethan left something with him. And that phrase, "your life might depend on it." Those were not words you use lightly. The mention of Sophie and Noah, specifically the warning not to tell them, that is what made me reach for my car keys. If there was even a chance this was real, I had to know. I owed it to Ethan. I owed it to myself.